Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I am live coming from Flagstaff again. It is just a handful of days after the Cocodona 250 race. And consequently, Mackenzie is finishing up her sophomore year here at NAU. And so I just decided to stay, recover a little bit, and then Mackenzie and I are going to drive home. So Eddie, hello from Flagstaff.
Yo, I am again in Huntington Beach, and you are not in my presence physically.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm stoked to have you guys back. You guys cruise home and on Wednesday, so that'll be good to have you and Mackenzie back. Mackenzie will be back for the summer, and we'll have a full family for a little bit, which would be nice.
Yeah, I feel like, and I know Mackenzie's excited about it too. It's been a long season of training for Cocodona. It's kind of been the focus for the last 5 months. I've spent a lot of time up here in Flagstaff, putting in some time on the course and just getting my body prepared for the race. So now I feel like this part of my season is over, and we're looking forward to what's next, which is Badwater 135. But before we go full speed ahead there, I thought, might as well just get into the race recap while it's still fresh on my mind, while I'm still feeling it in my body. Yeah, I'm excited to share with everyone the experience that we had, Eddie, because you very much experienced it in a special way for yourself. You and I were just talking before we pressed record how difficult it is to crew 200s. I think almost like in a deceptive way, because the race distance itself is still something that's growing, and we're trying to understand how to train for it and race for it. That it's a niche distance, which is gained so much attention and growth just in the last few years. And one thing that I have noticed just talking with friends and other pros that are racing it is sometimes the exhaustion and the unknowns about crewing, because it's definitely not the same as crewing a 100. So it'll be fun just for you to kind of chime in and share what you experience. But how are you recovering?
I'm good. I've been getting good sleep, so I'm back to myself. I'm 100%. So it's been good to sleep in my own bed and yeah, just get good sleep, not in the car. So I'm good.
Mhm. Good.
Overall, how are you? I know we're a couple days post race now. I know you're getting better each day, but real quick, how are you doing? How are you feeling recovery wise?
Yeah, we're 5 days post race, and overall, I'd say this is probably my best recovery that I've had out of all of the 200s. Likely because I went so slow. You know, um, I've given myself, these past 5 days, which is good. This is something that I like to practice when I have a disappointing race performance, just to kind of sit in it, process it, and then I always put a time limit on it. It's like, okay, it's okay to be sad and like bummed and disappointed in how the race turned out, but then we move forward and we take those lessons and we just apply them to training and what we're doing next. But I'd say head to toe, like, body's great. My legs were never tired. So I think that was probably one of the things that really stuck out to me the most is like, okay, like, my body was strong, from mile 1 to the finish line, and I knew that in my training, that was really the most important thing, was building up durability and strength to be able to just do this distance in the first place. I was reminded of it many times from fans and spectators and you, Eddie, and the family and crew, like, "Hey, you gotta remember a year ago, I was, you know, I had just had knee surgery, and the question of being able to come back and do this distance was a slim chance." So I think my training really reflected that. I think my performance reflected that too. But the gratitude that I have, this past week, in spite of all of that, has just been overwhelming, because I'm just like so grateful that I was able to cross that finish line and to recover well. So I'm really excited to get back to training, but I am enjoying the recovery. I'm eating a lot of food. Me and Mackenzie have spent a ton of time together. Um, I probably like the biggest thing that I'm dealing with is just like sleep. I that's the one thing I struggle with after 200s is like I'll sleep for a couple hours during the day, then I'll sleep just for a few hours at night, then wake up in the middle of the night and eat, then go back to sleep, wake up again and eat. So, um, yeah, I other than that, I feel great.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked that you're able to get some good food, especially with Mackenzie there, and you have someone to eat with. Yeah. Well, let's dive into the recap, and it started very early. Well, let's actually back up. Let's go to the bib pickup and what that was like. I know for me, I think I talked about that a little bit with you, how different it was from 2023. So 3 years ago when you did it to this year, and just the massive amount of people that were at this one versus how easy it was to just to kind of go and get the bib a couple years ago and for the most part take some pictures and leave. This year was very different. In a great way, right? There was just so many more people there, and it was just this explosion of what it was a couple years ago.
Mhm. Yeah, we got to meet a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah.
it was I felt like it was a Western States experience, and if anyone has ever spectated, crewed, run, volunteered at Western States, that day before, packet pickup, the registration is incredible. It's got energy, it crowds, there's people everywhere, and it's really, really exciting, and I think Cocodona definitely reflected that. This is hands down one of the most popular races in the world right now. Media wise, it is the third most watched and covered, spectated, followed race in the world, just behind Western States and UTMB. And I wouldn't doubt that it's going to maybe even move up beyond those races because, the coverage is lasting 5, 6 days, and it's such a fun adventure to follow. But the media around it is so good.
Mhm.
You get these recaps at the end of the day. And I know for us, like even even going to the race expo, it's like every other runner has a media crew and there's
Yeah.
cameramen and equipment everywhere. There's drones everywhere. So I think they did a really good job covering this. A big shout out to my friend Rachel Entrekin, who just, she set history, she made history, but she's also superseded the sports community of just ultra and trail running. We're seeing her on all these huge TV shows from ESPN to Bloomberg. I think she's going to go on Joe Rogan. I'm so thrilled to see Rachel, this shining star, really pave the way and help expose the sport just in a grander way. And the fact that it's on the platform of the 200-mile distance, which for so long, you hear a lot of brands and even other competitive athletes say like, well, it's just a niche distance. It's a weird distance. Like, well, it's definitely making its name for itself, and it's a distance to be respected. And I think it's only gonna, continue to grow. So yeah, the race expo was incredible. They did a wonderful job, very well organized. I couldn't believe how many booths were there, but just
Mhm.
in the short 3 years from the time that I first did it, it's probably grown 10 times
Yeah.
than what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot more runners there because they were also doing the pickup for Sedona 125,
All
right?
5 distances had the
Yeah,
option to go.
to go, yeah.
Yeah.
So we met a lot of people that were doing the 125,
Mhm.
and
Or
then, yeah,
Bradshaw 100
a
or
handful
yeah,
of, doing
Mingus
the other ones.
Mountain.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But it was cool to meet a lot of people coming up to us and talking about how they listen to the podcast, and so that was awesome. We
Yes,
always
thank you,
love.
listeners. Everyone that came out to say hi. I got to meet so many babies, and dogs and young children, people from all over the country, that were there. They had either traveled to race one of the 5 distances, or they're just out there to spectate the week. Because let's be honest, Eddie, it is a really fun week to
Yeah, it
be out
is.
of. If you're
Oh,
just,
yeah.
like, following along, because all the cities are really cool, whether you're in
Yeah.
Preston or Jerome or, Whiskey Row or, Sedona. It's like you can, like, hang out and have a lot of fun, just visiting those places and getting on the trails for yourself while spectating this sport. And, even for Mackenzie and her teammates, they all went it down to the finish line because you finish in Flagstaff, which is like it's less than a mile from her campus. So a bunch of her friends went down and watched Rachel finish, which
Yeah.
just filled my heart. So it's like, and I've never seen a finish line of a 200 like that. Like, let's be honest. I think it
No.
was bigger than Western States. Like the whole city came out for it. And then you had just all the people connected to the race were there too. So I think yeah, seeing how many people were at that expo, it made sense. It's not just you're coming to run.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was really cool to have so many people come up to us and say, "Hey, I'm running this race because Sally," or "I'm running this 125. I got into ultras because Sally basically said that I could." Right? Like, I didn't think I could. I doubted myself. I didn't think, but the more I listen to Sally, the more I feel like I can go that distance. And so that was cool to meet a lot of those people that were there because you encouraged them or inspired them. So that was neat.
Mm. Yeah, met a lot of really incredible people, got to hear some super cool stories,
Yeah.
and, yeah, took a lot of pictures, just all throughout the race too. I mean, whether it was the aid stations, in some of those crew tents, I got to meet so many cool people, and then just even out on the course as I was racing, I think I ran into the Mingus Mountain 80, group of people when they started. I ran into Sedona 125 people, I think there was even a handful of the Flagstaff 40 racers. So it was super cool. Just this blend of runners and spectators and crew and volunteers.
Yeah. So that was the bib pickup. Awesome time. Very, very long time out there and very hot. It was pretty hot out there the
That was
whole
the
time.
hottest day of the entire
Yeah, it
race.
was. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it because day one was not hot at all, not even
Yeah.
for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like it was really hot. So we did that, which was awesome. Came back, had some dinner, and then got ready for race day.
Yeah.
Race day was an early morning for all of us. 2:30, I think, was the alarm clock.
Yeah,
Because
2:30 in
we
the
wanted,
morning, race starts at 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
you wanted to start eating, right? And kind of get the body moving a little bit at like by 3 o'clock, right? I mean, that was essentially the idea behind getting up so early. And then obviously it starts at 5, but we wanted to get there an hour early and the gates open at 3:30 or something like that, right? That was but yeah, it was an early morning. So walk us through a little bit, Sal, about getting to that start line that morning.
Yeah, so, and for anyone considering doing this race, a couple just quick, details aside, the start is, you're in Deep Canyon Ranch, and, for us, it was like a 25-30 minute drive. We stayed in a great spot in Phoenix. It was, it was right there. We were around shopping centers so that if crew and media needed any supplies or anything, it was just a good place to be. We got good night's rest there. So, but as you approach the Deep Canyon Ranch, there's a 15 mile per hour speed limit and a long line. And I had known from one doing the training run, which that's where the training run was, and then the day before the expo, I had this thought in my mind like, there's nothing that makes me more anxious than being in a super long car line on the morning of a race. And so I just wanted to beat that, and I felt like, let's all, like, lose a half hour of sleep. I'd rather just rest in the car and chill and know that we're in good placement, and which ended up turning out to be really good. It was a really relaxing, morning. We got there and just cruised right in, got a spot. I think I used the bathroom, like, 4 different times, just straight
Mhm.
nerves, and, picked up my spot tracker, so we all have this spot tracker. It's like the size of a pager that we have to wear the entire time. They attach it to our vest, our running vest. So you stand in a line, you get that. They ask you, do you have the ability to carry 4 liters? Because it's such a remote, dry, exposed area. And the way that the first 37 miles works out is you have one aid station about 7.5 miles in, and then you have a water station like at 10.5 miles, and then you have another water station at like it's like 22 or 23 miles in.
24, yeah.
Is it 24? And then
Mhm.
you hit Lane Mountain at, like, 32, and that's the next actual aid station. So, from mile 7.8 or 7.6 or whatever until mile 32, you don't have a legit aid station. There's no drop bags, there's no food, there's, like, nothing. So, I think the first 37 miles is pretty critical, and so your check-in in that morning is to make sure that you have what you need, that you're prepared, and that everyone's pack is pretty heavy. It's also, like, the most aggressive I think, in my opinion, the hardest part of the entire race because it's just under 37 miles, about 11,000 feet of climbing, and it's all rocks. So, yeah, and we'll dive into that in just a minute, but, you start it at night, you start in the dark, but it's one of those, like, should I wear a headlamp? Should I not wear a headlamp? Because 'Cause you're only gonna wear your headlamp for, like, maybe 10, 15 minutes, but then it's like, yeah, within those 10, 15 minutes, I don't wanna fall or trip or anything, so I had this really lightweight headlamp. About 10 minutes before the start, I started walking toward the start line. I had no intention of being on the front line. I usually like to be, like, 2nd or 3rd, rows back, but, both Courtney and Rachel, and there's a few other friends, they're like, "No, come up, stand with us." So, which ended up being really fun. We got some fun pictures. I think a lot of that video was on the live stream of the 3 of us all standing together. Courtney and Rachel are dear friends of mine. I have, also so much respect for them as athletes, and I know the world was watching what those 2 were gonna do and how they were gonna, battle out there, and, it was really awesome to be able just to stand with them for those couple minutes before, and, it was crazy how emotional we were all getting. I think about 30 seconds before the, start, like, Rachel and I just, like, started tearing up, and then, she started shedding some tears, so we were, like, hugging, and it was like the countdown was, like, starting, and, I think that moment was really special to me just because it was just a kind of just a realization of, 1, how unique, like, the women are in the sport of trail and ultra running. You don't see that a lot, like, in road marathoning, um, but we have this understanding of just how insanely difficult it is what we're trying to do. We're trying to, yeah, 1, cover the distance, but do it fast and to push the limits in ways that we don't know is possible. And it doesn't matter how great you are, all of us are and have failed miserably, in the sport. Whether we come in super fit or not, like the event is so difficult. And I think it just gives way to just this natural respect that we all have for each other and the support that we have for each other. So, when I look around at all the women, there's not these deep, scathing rivalries. We all kind of look at each other like we know we're going to get the best out of each other because we encourage and we push each other to be our best, and we know that what we're doing is so unique and difficult, and we're stoked to be out there. But I think when we give so much in training and here's the shot and we know it's going to be pretty painful, yeah, a lot of emotions and feelings start to bubble to the surface. So that will always be a really special moment for me, just standing at the start line with Rachel and Courtney, knowing, it's just knowing we have each other's support and that we're rooting for each other. And at the end of the day, not a lot of people in our lives that really understand what it is that we are doing, what we go through, what the training is like, what we're experiencing. Sometimes the pressure that we, whether we put on ourselves or just these big, huge dreams and expectations that we have, and I think it's super. It'll always be unique that we can connect in that way, and we savor that. So yeah, I really loved the start just for that, and, the start for me, the first 10 miles was amazing. My body felt amazing and effortless, like, anytime that I felt like I was pushing, I'd just pull back, and then when I felt good, I would just cruise, and, um, I was pretty much, like, in the top pack as far as, like, with the men and the women, not the very front pack, I'd say more chase pack, pretty much the whole 36, 37 miles. I finished it, like, an hour and a half earlier than expected. I think I came in under 9 hours. My goal was, like, just come in under 10 hours. I thought I would be able to do that because in training, I did it in 10 hours, and I was like, "That's good." Like, for what I wanna do and what my strengths are on that course, if I can come in under 10 hours for the first section, then I knew I would be, like, in a good spot, and then I could start working up from there. Kat Anderson and I and Mike, we ran together pretty much that entire section. Kat went on to place 6th place. She's a phenomenal runner. We had such a great time, but once we left the first aid station at Crown King, she was trying to wait for me, and she's like, "Do you have, like, 2 minutes?" And I was like, "Yeah, 2 minutes, I'm gonna catch you," but then I never saw her again. I really had to take care of my feet at that first aid station, but, I'd say overall, for everyone listening, we were all shocked at how cool it was. We had breeze, most of the time that sun was behind the clouds. There is moments it's warm just because we were, like, you're in the desert, it's fully exposed, you're climbing, so yeah, 75 degrees is still like, you're still, like, warm, but for all of us, we were all in saunas and heat training and training in layers, and um so yeah, it was warm, but, like, we were expecting, like, deathly hot. Like, we were expecting, like, to be, uh, sweating and kinda trash by the time we got to Crown King, and all of us were moving much faster than expected just because of the cooler temps. So,
Mhm.
we saw that right away from the very front of the pack. I mean, the top men and women that came in were blazing fast, and we even and then my group, when we came in, we were stoked. Like, it felt effortless, honestly, like, getting in, and I think that was just a good sign of fitness too. Everything felt great head to toe. I think I had, like, one tiny little, I wouldn't even call it a blister. I just kind of, like, rubbed the side of my heel, and that just comes because that terrain, it's a lot of dust, it's a lot of dirt, a lot of, like, fine gravel. So I would say that most everyone is changing socks, cleaning their feet, and getting all of that out of your shoe. You might get some rubbing. Some people had blisters. But I really made it a point when I came in there. I was like, I'm gonna take care of my feet as much as possible. But I know people are asking what shoe do you wear. I wore the On Cloud Ultra Pro. I had worn it in training. Loved it, and so I was like, "I'm just gonna wear it in the race, for that section as well." So, um, this year we had Tim Tollefson on the crew too, joining you, Eddie, and, for those of you that don't know Tim, he is a professional ultra runner. He's also the founder, owner, director of the Mammoth Trail Fest and the Mammoth 200. Tim and I have been really good friends for the last 12 years. He was on the Nike Trail team with me, for several years before, being stolen by Hoka. He runs for Craft now, but, yeah, Tim is also a sports PT, and so it was really nice having him on because as soon as I would come into every aid station, he just he went to work. He was like, "We're taking care of those feet, and we're getting it done." So, it was a huge blessing just having him be on top of that and just reminding me every single section what it is that I needed to pay attention to and what I needed to do to make sure that my body, was feeling good.
Are you one of those people who loves coffee, the taste, the smell, the whole ritual, but you know the big cup of caffeine in the afternoon is probably not the best idea if you actually want to fall asleep at night? That's us too. We're always drinking coffee up until about noon. Then in the afternoon, we want coffee again. The smell, the taste, but not the full send of caffeine that a cup includes. That's why Mudwater's new low calf coffee has been perfect for us. It's made with organic Arabica coffee beans, L-theanine, and functional mushrooms. The new coffee blend was crafted as a unique low calf blend of organic Arabica coffee and Swiss water decaf to deliver the rich, full body taste coffee lovers crave without overloading on caffeine. Each ingredient in Mudwater serves a purpose. With organic ingredients for a clean, natural boost, Mudwater's smooth, earthy flavors provide a delicious and natural source of energy. Their OG blend contains cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine and hot chocolate-like flavor. Most decaf is made with chemical solvents, literally the same stuff found in paint thinner. Mudwater uses something called Swiss water process, which is just water and filtration. No chemicals, and that's why the coffee blend actually tastes like coffee. Are you ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code STRONG. That's right, up to 43% off with code STRONG at mudwtr.com. After your purchase, they'll ask how you found them. Please show your support and let them know that we sent you. In an effort to get ahead of the skin aging process, which is coming very quickly, us McRae's have been using OneSkin. We've been a OneSkin customer long before they wanted to be a sponsor of the podcast. We have been using the OS1 body moisturizer and have been getting great results. At the core is their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, a key driver of wrinkles, fine lines, and loss of elasticity, all key signs of skin aging. Certified safe for sensitive skin, their products are free from over 1,500 harsh or irritating ingredients, dermatologist tested, and have been awarded the National Eczema Association Seal of Acceptance by the NEA, delivering powerful results without the harsh side effects. With more than 10,000 five-star reviews, people consistently mention smoother, firmer, healthier-looking skin and how easily these products fit into their daily routines. Editors have named OneSkin a leader in skin longevity with recognition from Fast Company, Mind Body Green, Bloomberg, and The Today Show. Born from over a decade of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code SALLY at oneskin.co/Sally. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code SALLY. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Yeah, quickly to tag back a little bit on how you were doing that first. I think it was, the water station you hit at mile 10.
Mhm.
Uh, it was cool because, when you're watching these races, obviously as crew, you really don't know what's going on between, point A to point B, because there's just no access to it. Thankfully, like you said, this race does an amazing job with the live feed. And so you get bits and pieces here and there, which was cool because at mile 10 at that water station, you kind of climb up to it. I think it's either that
No,
one
it's
or
the
mile
20
24.
it's the 24 one.
Okay, so you
We had
climb
a
up
lot of
to
people
it.
comment on what you're about to say.
Yeah, yeah, and that was, like, the one time the live feed was there and was kinda catching everybody, and it's the first time really people at home or on the course or watching get an idea of where everybody is and, them coming in, how they look, and there was a guy that was part of, Mountain Outpost doing a little interview with people that would come in, "Hey, how you feeling?" And kinda get, up to date, live in the moment, commentary from the runners. And, obviously you were on there but before that, before you had your little interview, you come up and you're getting water and you're filling packs and talking to everybody and stuff, and then, you did a huge
Oh, that's the
selfie.
actual aid station. That one is 7.5. I know the
Okay,
one you're
yeah,
talking
so
about, yeah.
yeah,
That's
so that
like
was
that's
Cottonwood
the
Creek,
legit
yeah.
one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and you did a full, like, selfie with, like, 5 other people behind you, and it was all on the live stream, and I was like, "Alright, I think Sally's feeling pretty good. Think she's,
Okay, that's another one. Okay, so there was a live stream happening at mile 7.5, and I actually
Yeah,
they're like, "Do you wanna say hi to anyone?" And I'm like I'm shouting out crew and Mackenzie and Isaiah and you
yeah,
and talking, and we're all filling our packs. But then the one that you're talking about, there is a group of us that had been working together for miles and miles,
yeah.
and yeah, we were all in such good spirits when we got there, but we didn't see that camera at first. Like, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
it
okay.
was just on a tripod by itself.
Yeah,
And so when we came in, we're all like, because you can only have 1 liter of water there. And so we're all like trying to figure out water and stuff. But one of the things that we had all talked about, because, we were all like, we were very set on moving efficiently,
mhm.
like not wasting any time at all. I mean, probably a half mile before that, I took a really hard fall, and Mike, who had been running with me, who's from Huntington Beach too, he's awesome. As soon as I fell, he's like, "Get up, get up, get up." Like, he was just like, "We need to keep moving. If you're not like, no broken bone, you need to keep moving." And I remember popping up after that. As soon as I popped up, the guy behind me fell in the exact same
Yeah.
spot, and I popped up, and we're like laughing, running with bloody knees. Like,
Yeah, well, it's funny because that guy that fell, he told me that like, I saw him in, Crown King, and he's like,
yeah.
"Dude, your wife went down, and I was, like, watching her, and then I literally did the same thing, and then he was showing me his leg, it was all bloody, and
Yeah.
then he was, like, laughing about it, and
Oh, yeah. And I think with adrenaline and just, like, we were moving at a good clip. It wasn't like we're just, like, power hiking and having a jovial time just chatting. It's like we were genuinely all working together, and that's something in these 200s that comes up in conversation a lot is like, "Hey, do you wanna work this section together?" Because there's stretches where you're by yourself. When the sun sets and it's freezing and you're cold, like, you're just gonna move better with people, and especially the first 150, 180 miles. Like, unless you're neck and neck with, like, somebody and you're trying to win, it's like you can get across the train so much better when you lock in with a group of people, and
yeah,
so that's really what we were doing. I knew Kat was one of the ones, Kat Anderson, I knew that she had the potential to be on the podium. Like,
mm,
she's a phenomenal athlete, but we were moving at the same clip, we had the same energy, and we kept each other, like, right on pace, and, um, I just felt like all the guys so then all there's a bunch of guys that settled in with us too. So I think there was probably like 6 or 7 of us, really that pretty much, stayed together. And so it was really funny when I fell, it was like in my mind, it was so inconvenient. It was like, "This is so annoying." And then I hear the guy drop behind me, but we popped up. I mean, we didn't miss a beat. It wasn't I didn't even look at my knee. I didn't even realize that I had blood coming down it until I think we got into the water station, and someone was like, "Oh, you should clean that up." And I was like, "Honestly, like, I don't even feel it. It's not like it looks worse than it is." And I mean, how many people came into Crown King with, like, cuts on their faces
tons.
and their
Yeah,
arms and their knees? Like, that section is just rocks. It's
mhm,
all rocks when you're going up, when you're going down. It is really hard to find smooth footing. Like, those first 37 miles is pretty crazy. So, I think doing, like, the training run was really helpful for me just mentally. I I personally, I do really well on technical terrain. I think as having a soccer background, like, that agility, quick leg turnover, quick
yeah,
feet, I've always said that just as a coach, like, anyone that was in, like, a sport where you did quick feet stuff, so basketball, even, like, football, soccer, tennis, like, where you're moving laterally a lot, I was really confident on that section, and I don't fall a lot, so,
yeah, you're right.
it was pretty funny when I fell, but yeah, we didn't let it bother us, and then we got into that aid station, so we were all kind of, like, in this good mood because the 2 of us had just fallen, we kept rolling, we all couldn't believe that we were at that water station already. We're helping each other with packs, and then, one of the things that we had talked about was like, we should try to get a picture here or there. Like, all it takes is 5 seconds, and Kat and I were talking about how when memories pop up on your phone, those picture memories,
Yeah.
how they make you smile. And so I took 2 pictures in that section, one mid-run. I literally was, like, hammering down this trail, and I take out my camera, and there's a couple guys I had been running with for, like, 10 miles, and I did a selfie. I mean, it was just like I didn't miss a
Nice.
beat, and it was an area I could. And then when we got to that water station, I was like, "I'm doing it, and I'll send it to all you guys." And then that's when we realized that the live stream was right there.
Yeah.
So, I just thought that was super cool. I actually after we left, I was like, "Oh, that, like, makes me happy that if people were watching the live stream at that time that they saw that." Because I feel like that is, like, the spirit of our sport. Like, you're
Mm.
not gonna see that in a half marathon on the road, and you know, you don't see that a lot, especially people that are in the front that are working really hard. We're not trying to live stream and do, like, influencer content, like,
Yeah.
we really are trying to move well, but what goes amiss sometimes is the fact that we're having fun, we're
Mhm.
soaking it in, we're building, friendships out on the trail, and there are moments that we wanna remember forever, and it's like, I think knowing we were all getting our water together, I was like, "We can take 5 seconds and capture this," and,
Yeah, that was cool.
Noah, who is working that water station, he was so friendly and kind, but we were so grateful for him because, before that, they used to do their water stations and nobody manned them, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
like, this volunteer came out and is all by himself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's
So
funny because like, the audio picks up on that live stream, and so I was
Oh,
watching
okay.
it, and, like, a couple people would come in, and then, like, sometimes there's just one guy coming up, and then he would say, "Hey, man, thanks for being out here, thanks for volunteering." "Oh, yeah, no problem, it's great," he's like, "This is, like, out here, like, how did you get out here?" And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I hiked up here yesterday and spent the night last night,
Yep.
so I didn't have to go back and forth, and, yeah, it's great, I'll go back tomorrow," so he was
Yeah.
like, I'm spending a couple days out here, which was
Yeah.
kinda funny.
Yeah, it is out there, and it's exposed so that it's not like they're in this beautiful alpine forest.
Yeah.
Like, it's hot, it's exposed, there's, like, nothing out there, yeah, so I was like, "Alright, Noah, you gotta get in the picture with us," but, yeah, I'm glad that you
That's
saw
cool.
that,
Yeah, it was such a funny and I was like, "Oh, there she is. Yep, she's doing good. She's taking selfies." So, yeah, it was cool too because because you were running with Kat for, like, the first part of that race, first half or so, I mean, I would always see their crew at, the aid stations and whether they're waiting an hour or whatever, like, we would always kind of connect, and so I got to chat with, her crew, and her husband was the crew chief and chatted with him, and, super cool guy, super cool
so
crew,
cool.
but, yeah, I guess he was saying how she was really stoked to just be able to share some miles with you. That was kind of a highlight of her race, and, obviously she went on and did awesome, but, yeah, so that was the first, 30 36. Well, you actually came into Bumblebee Ranch is like a big holding tank before you actually go to the aid station, which is like mile
For
37
crew.
for crew, correct. And you can't the reason is because there's, like, literally hardly any parking at Crown King, which was the first big aid station that we were able to go to. And
You need to
so
explain getting from Bumblebee to Crown King. I don't
well,
think
yeah, I
get
will,
how
but
insane
the
it is.
Crown King is in this tiny little mining town and has a general store and a saloon, and, that's kind of it, and it's really kinda
And
tucked
it's up in the
away.
mountains,
It
like,
is, yeah.
you're high
It's
up in the mountains, you're in the trees, and it's not this nice smooth road to get there.
No, the road is pretty rough, like, it's over an hour of just bumpy, rocky,
Dirt road.
dirt, and a lot of times it comes down to this one single car road over
Sketch.
bridges, and yeah, it's not like super sketchy, it's more just kind of annoying, it's just long and bumpy for a long time, and, but anyways, yeah, so we go to this Bumblebee Ranch, and it's just this huge, obviously, ranch that there's tons of parking, and the race does a great job of putting the live feed up on a screen, and there's food there, and so the crews can come there and just kinda wait for their runner, and then as soon as their runner gets to a certain point, there's volunteers there that will call out that the number of the runner to say, all right, number 6 is ready to go. So you come up and you get this little pass, and that gives you the green light to go to Crown King and take that 1 hour ride. So by the time we got there, and we weren't like taking our time necessarily. We were like, all right, I think it's time to get over there, trying to time it right. And prior to this start, the start you did before, we were there for quite a while, just kind of waiting around and got a chance to experience, the food and hanging out. And this one, we parked and I told Tim, I'm gonna go find out what the procedure is this year and see how, we know to leave. And as soon as I get up there to go ask the volunteer lady, she's like, "Did you get my message?" I'm like, "No, what message?" She goes, "I sent you an Instagram message uh about Sally." And I go, "Oh, no, I didn't." She goes, "We called your name 10 minutes ago." I'm like, "Oh, all right, she's already here. She's already gone." So we didn't have to wait around on that one. We got the pass and took the 1 hour bumpy ride through the canyon to get to Crown King. So
So tell me
that was
about
fun.
the Instagram message.
Oh, it was nothing. It was just like she was trying to like get a hold of me and saying, "Hey, Sally's already come through. Are you here?" Or, I'm calling out your name and no one's coming to get
Yeah.
number 6. So, you beat us there. So you were moving pretty well. Those first 37 miles, a lot faster than I anticipated. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah, then we just made our way to Crown King, and you finally came into Crown King. And at Crown King, you, like what we were talking about earlier, you said, "I got a little thing on my heel. Let's take care of it." And Tim went to town and did his thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim did awesome. I think the whole entire race, and we could talk about that later. His foot care was a game changer
It
for
really
me
was. Yeah.
and helped me, move well. So, yeah.
Yeah, Crown King, you were feeling still pretty good. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
were, yeah, like feeling like, "Hey, let's just change shoes, change socks, and get some food." And you had a little bit of the saloon there they had burgers, and
Mhm.
Billy
I
was there, and
ate, stomach was good.
yeah, Billy had a barbecue burger, and he had a little bit left, and he asked if you wanted it, and you said yes, so you took some of
Yeah.
that. Uh, Later on when you left, he's like, "Dude, honestly, like, I was hoping Sally did not want that because it was so good, I wanted to finish it, but I ended up giving
Sounds
it
like
to
Billy.
Sally." He saw that thing was so good, but she ended up wanting it, so
But Billy, out of all people too, like, Billy is so he's always been so thoughtful about sharing his food.
you're
No matter
right.
how hungry he is, that is just like, he's
Yeah.
always been such a sweetheart, and, yeah, I really appreciate that. It was super fun seeing him and Hillary's little baby bump. That was such a treat, and just giving her a big ol' hug. There was a mom there with her 2 daughters that were, I think, 7 and 10, had
Mhm.
made these incredible signs for me.
Yeah.
It actually made me tear up, and they were in our merch. They had, Chew Strong and Run Lift merch on, and, so we got some pictures of them, and there was a few other people that came over to say hi, and, I feel like every single aid station, there were, people from the Chew Strong community that came out to, we got gifts and hugs and, took pictures and got words of encouragement. And so I think coming into Crown King, I got that nice little boost of energy. Food wise, change clothes. We had a good transition in and out. I think not seeing you guys, for 8.5, almost 9 hours, that was a good spot to make sure that I was ready to go into the night, because that next section, even though you're done with like the exposed gnarly part, you are entering higher up into the mountains. The wind picks up, like the wind is insane
Yeah.
for the next like 35 miles. It's colder, the sun sets. Um, there's one like 4,000-foot climb that's pretty aggressive. And so preparing yourself at Crowd King, even if it means you're there for an extra 10, 15 minutes, it is a game changer, because so many people get up into Camp Kippa.
Mm.
There's 2 other, like, well, there's like 3 aid stations, but there's 2 like pretty critical aid stations before we see our crew again at Whiskey Row, where people absolutely fall apart. it is crazy how much attrition happens in the first 78 miles of that race, and I think it's because they go out too hard and too fast in the first 37 miles. They don't take care of themselves and get everything they need at Crown King, and they keep trying to push because in their mind, they're like, "Dude, we're only 40 miles into the race. We're only 70 miles into the race. There's so much race to run." And you're gonna feel your best, but I've just learned over and over the vital importance of needing to really take your time and be thoughtful about what you need and to move at an efficient speed is like it's so important. So, um, we got in, I can't remember what aid station it was. I think it was around mile 60, and I was still moving, like, really well. When I got to this mile 68 station, there was my buddy Jeff Garmire, who ended up finishing so well, but Jeff Garmire was laying on the ground, like, vomiting in the dirt. Like, he was a wreck. Then there was, like, 5 or 6 other guys that just looked so trashed, like, sitting in chairs, and I walk in and I look at all of them, I said, "All of you are leaving with me. All of you. Out of your chair. There is still so much race. I don't care how terrible you feel. We're all gonna leave walking together. We're gonna eat together. We're gonna talk together." I go, "But this next section is so freaking hard, and if we can all work together, we're gonna get through it better." And it was like the sun was setting, and
Yeah.
I just feel like no matter like, at that point, you don't really need to be pushing so hard as you're going into the night. The wind was picking up, it was getting cold. People were very tired from a long day out of just in fully exposed desert climbing,
Yeah.
and so you could just feel like and I've been there so many times in races, when you're alone, you end up moving so much slower. So it was pretty cool. Like I wasn't in that aid station for very long. I'd say probably like 6 or 7 minutes. Like I used the bathroom, I got some food, I took up my headlamps, got some warm clothes on, um, and just kept going over to Jeff. And I was like, "You need to get off the ground. You need to get off the ground." He's such a tough, gritty, like, talented runner. He has, like, the AT record. I mean, this guy is, like, phenomenal,
Yeah.
exponentially better athlete than I am, but I, like, really understood where he was in that moment, and I was like, "If I can just get him off the ground, I know he's gonna just, like, crush it," and he did. He went on to crush it, but, sometimes you just need people to remind you of that, like, this is what we
Yeah.
signed up for. A part of this is a part of 200s. It's hard, and
Well,
sometimes the hard parts hit you at moments that you wouldn't expect, and when that happens, it's easy to get down on yourself mentally and just kinda be like, "Oh, my race is over, and, like, I'm just gonna finish."
yeah.
So, we ended up leaving. I wanna say there was, like, 10 of us that
Eh,
left the aid
I was gonna
station.
ask, did anybody like, "Screw you, Sally, I'm staying," or were they like, "All right, let's go, I'm going for
Some
it."
of the guys you could see were like, "Frick, Sally," like,
Yeah.
they were, like, pissed, like,
They're like,
"How can
"Dang,
I
why'd
not
Sally
leave?"
show up?"
Yeah, yeah, it was kinda like that war inside, but I'll tell you what, people have done that to me before
Yeah.
too, and I've responded with like, "Dude, I just need 5 more minutes," and so, I came in a couple times like, "Hey, I'm leaving in 5. You guys be ready in 5." Like, I go, "It feel crappy and walk." And some people I was like, "You're sitting there eating. Why are you sitting eating? You can walk and eat." I was pretty firm in,
Yeah.
like, a friendly way, though, because all of those guys were very, like, fit, they're
Yeah.
very strong, they're all great runners. Um, I knew none of their goals were like, "Oh, I hope I finish this," like, and I had talked to several of these guys throughout, like, the first 40, 50 miles anyway, like, they had time goals.
Yeah.
They had time goals for this race. All of them had trained so hard for this race, so and
So
I think
Coach
that
Sally just came out and it's like,
Coach
"Alright,
Sally came out, I
you
did.
have goals, let's go, let's get going."
Yeah, and I think that's what's really important for people to understand. You're always gonna get the spectators that aren't training for this, that love the sport and they watch, and they will make those comments like, "Well, at least you finished. What you did was so amazing. At least you finished." But it's okay to protect and make your goals personal to you, and you should do that. It's if your A goal wasn't, "I just wanna finish," your A goal was like, "I want this time." It's okay to be upset about that when you're not reaching that, because your training reflected that.
Mm.
If you put your whole heart into something, and you dedicate and you are disciplined and you are committed because you want this certain time and it's like everything's falling apart, there's nothing wrong with being upset. Obviously, we're all going to finish. Like that's obviously that's one of the goals is to finish. But to set a time goal for yourself, to set a I want to be in the top 10, those are courageous goals that you know are gonna be painful, that are gonna be uncomfortable, and those goals also are lonely. Those are
Yep.
lonely goals, and you can't expect people to understand that. So I think when I come into aid stations, especially in the beginning of a race, and I am running with people who have shared lofty goals with me, like, if I would have come in there and Kat was sitting there, I would have been like, "Heck no, you're not staying here," because I understand.
Yeah.
I understand all the hard work and the dreaming that goes into a much, you know, a goal of getting in top 10. Like that is it's very, very difficult. And
Mhm.
the sacrifice that that takes, that's why, people who make this as a career, why sometimes we don't always say exactly what all of our goals are gonna be and break down exactly what it is that we're gonna do. It's not always easy, to explain, but I think I walked in there and into the aid station, I was like, "Nope." Like we all need someone to be this. Like, I want
Sure.
someone to be that to me. If I was the
Yeah.
one laying on the ground barfing, I would have wanted Jeff to be like, "Sally, get off the ground."
Yep.
Like, that like, "You don't belong there. Staying here for an hour barfing isn't gonna do anything when you can walk for an hour and barf." And, it's funny saying that because that's what I ended up doing 100 miles later. Like, I was walking and barfing, and it was so funny because Tim had been pacing me that time, and I remember in between barfing, I'd be like, "I'm fine. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
This is like,
This
we're
is part.
good." Yeah, this is just part of it. So, um, yeah, so we made our way into the night, into some pretty gnarly wind and cold, and then we got you at Whiskey Row. Got there, earlier than the goal was to get there earlier than I did when I did it in 2023. I think when I came in, I was definitely tired. In 2023, that's where I slept. I mean, I stayed at Whiskey Row in 23 for like almost 2 hours. And I told you, I was like, hey, like now I actually do have a couple blisters that I need to take care of. I want to eat and I want to keep on going.
Yep.
Um, so no sleep there. Uh, we got I think that aid station was really funny. I think the medic there, he just put a piece of tape on my blister.
Yep.
You remember?
He did. I felt like he thought that there was only, like, 2 miles left of the race. He's like, "Ah, let's just throw this tape on there, you'll be good."
It was crazy
Uh,
because even Tim, like I said, Tim's a sports PT, and so he was like, "Hey, how about we clean up her feet a little bit?" And he was like,
yeah.
"Nope, she's just gonna
No,
get them dirty again." And Tim was just like, "What?" Like,
I
I
think
don't
that
think he
guy
was.
was really tired.
I think so. It was so funny. Like, he could not be bothered. Like,
No.
it was just he literally, like, took a piece of K-tape and just set it over, like, a couple of my blisters, and I was like, "Okay, like, this is what we're doing."
Thanks. Thank you.
And then Shelby was my first pacer, Shelby
Yeah.
Farrell, who also had paced me at that section, back in 23. So this year I had 3 pacers. I had Shelby Farrell, I had, Summer Ago, and then Tim Tollefson. And, Shelby did that section all the way to Watson Lake. Um, about 3 miles before getting to Watson Lake, this is where the Mingus Traverse, the 80-mile race was starting. I I became so tired that I was walking sleeping, and so I looked at Shelby and I was like, "That sidewalk looks so comfortable to me." I go, "I'm gonna lay there for like 7 minutes." I go, "And then I'm gonna pop up and we're gonna be good to go." And it was crazy because that's exactly what I did. I plopped down on the sidewalk in front of somebody's house and, like, was lights out, like,
So funny.
dead to the world, and when I popped up, I was wide awake. It was just what I needed. So, yeah, it was probably about 85 miles in when I got my first sleep of, like, 7 minutes, and then
Can
we
you
got to.
imagine, like, if that was your house, like, it's 1 a.m., you're just like, who's out there on the sidewalk sleeping? Like, what's going on
Yeah,
out there?"
yeah, and then I had my first sleep at Watson Lake,
Yeah.
um, and I think that was, like, 30 minutes. I think we did a 30 minute
Yep.
nap there.
Yep.
And then summer started to pace me, and this is where we started to enter the dells. Now, the dells are this beautiful rock formation around a lake, red rocks, and I am not kidding, as soon as we started, the Mingus Mile 80 traverse started, and I was like, "There's just no way," and we're like a quarter mile in and I turn around and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here come all the front runners just hammering at us." And the route through the rocks is kind of it's technical, it's narrow. Like I had to step off the trail like several times and I didn't like, I wasn't hammering at the speed that they were, and so
They were fresh, yeah.
Summer and I were just, like, giggling. I was like, "Oh my gosh," and I stopped so many times to take pictures of people, so anyone that's listening right now, this is the Mingus Traverse, thank you for saying hi. It was
Nice.
super fun to converse with you, but, yeah, we definitely got through that section a little slowly, which was fine because then the sun started rising and I was starting to get awake again. I was still eating too. My stomach was still good at this point, so I was eating like mashed potatoes and was in really good spirits. And we were on our way to Fain Ranch at this time. And Fain Ranch is one of the most popular aid stations in Cocodona. It's huge. Satisfy Running sponsors it, so they do a really good job sponsoring it. They have nice bathrooms and food and blow up seats and huge area for crew and supporters. But in order to get there, you go through this is not my favorite section of the course. So once you're out of the dells, it's just like cow pasture.
Yeah.
And you're just working your way through this cow pasture, not the best footing. You have to go over several ladders. So you're climbing up these rickety ladders to go over cattle fences. Um, and I'd say between the time you leave the Dells to the base of Mingus Mountain, you probably go over like 12 or 13 ladders.
Mhm.
So we finally made it to the Fain Ranch, which is like just under 100 miles into the race. And
Yeah, it's
so
96,
yeah, 96
96.5.
miles. So that's a really, like, exciting point to hit. It was still really early in the morning, and I felt like, "Oh, this is, like" I'm still, like, on a pretty good pace, like, I'm moving well. Um, at that point, too, I knew I really needed to eat more. I could tell that I was severely behind in calories at that point. My sports nutrition started to not taste good to me.
Yeah.
And, I started to slowly stop eating it and was now turning to, like, ginger ale, Coke, potatoes. Now I was moving on to, like, real food,
Yep.
and, like, electrolyte tablets instead of electrolyte drinks. I think, Eddie, we were trying all different kinds of electrolyte drinks. We had, like, Electroride, the Gatorade high
Yep.
electrolyte drink. There was coconut water, um yeah, which worked good. So I was really happy my stomach was still good here. I was a little tired. I think I sat in that aid station. I had, like, pancakes with strawberries. Gave myself, like, 5-10 minutes to kinda do a reset because I knew that Mingus Mountain was coming, and I could also see that there was rain coming. There
Yeah.
was a huge black cloud over Mingus Mountain where we would be climbing, and, yeah, so I left with Summer no, Shelby. I left with,
Yeah, Shelby.
yeah, because Summer had taken me to Fain Ranch. So I left with Shelby, and we started making our way up Mingus Mountain, and I'd say as we went up Mingus Mountain, that's when I, like, just started to not feel great, and I don't really know how to describe what it was that was going on. It was I think on one hand, I just kind of felt sick,
Mm.
like I had, like, a headache, very low calories. I really wanted to sleep, but then it wasn't like I wasn't tired enough where I was gonna sleep on a rock. I was like, "No, I need to keep moving. This is part of it." We got up to Mingus Mountain, and as soon as I walked into that aid station, the smell of lasagna was, like, the most inviting aroma, and I think I looked at you, I go, "Is that pizza?" And you were like, "No, it's lasagna." I go, "I want lasagna. I
Yeah.
want lasagna." So, yeah, I think energy was just weird at that point. A little aside, and this is an important part, I think that kinda wrecked me a little bit, was I did start my period about 10 hours before the race start, and it it definitely took a little bit of a toll on me just because I retained so much water, and so I started that race pretty bloated. I felt like I was always battling the balance of my electrolytes and fluids. And I think that that definitely played a part in nutrition and electrolytes as the days went on.
Yeah.
Um, and just how I felt overall. I mean, I had to deal with all those symptoms. I don't personally I don't let myself I wasn't complaining about it. I didn't let it be a focus. It was just another thing that I had to take care of, and it definitely had some effects on me. So, headache, just feeling really bloated, and then having a just a constant imbalance of fluid intake, and then just nausea. I mean, those are just symptoms that I have. It is what it is, part of being a woman. I think I had a few moments where I was, like, frustrated by that, where I was like, "Oh, of course,
I
like,
know.
of course I had to deal with this, it's so frustrating." So that presented a little challenges. As the miles went on, it kinda beat me up a little bit, and, yeah, I felt like it was a factor that I had to take care of at every aid station. The aid stations are so far apart, so it was always just an additional 5-10 minutes where I had to be taking care of things, as a result of that, and that made me angry. I was a little angry at times, like, I'd have to wait in long lines for bathrooms, and, like, I just yeah, I wasn't happy about it. So we were at Mingus Mountain, that's where, like, the basketball thing was, and I was, like, so excited to do the basketball thing, but, like, um, at that point, the storm had been coming in. There was a long line for the basketball hoop. That's partly why I didn't do it. But I was having a really hard time regulating my temperature and my energy level. So we left the cabin where all the food is, and it's like a quarter-mile walk to the car. And so I walked with the crew to the car. I had to change. I needed to get into warmer clothes. Tim at that point would be pacing me for a really long section. So got myself ready, got all layered up, and it started hailing, and, we left in the hail, and it was weird because it was, like, refreshing to me. I loved it. I absolutely loved the hail, and I love that descent from Mingus Mountain. It's one of my favorite sections on the course. I think partly just because 'cause I'm in the forest. My
Yeah.
heart is so happy in the forest. I find so much peace. I know for a lot of people that's a hard section. I like it because 'cause I'm always strong on mountain descents, and so, I felt like I could breathe really well. I was just descending a mountain. It's pretty technical, and then there's some climbing, like, a lot of indulating, segments in there. So, like, you descend, but then you climb a lot, and then you descend, and that's pretty true to how I train anyway, and so I was really comfortable on that part, and Tim and I were moving really well, and we were making our way to Jerome, and, yeah, we got into Jerome
Before
before.
hold on,
Yeah.
before you got to Jerome, how did the lasagna and all that food that you're now eating, because you kinda
Mhm.
ditched the nutrition, sports
Yeah.
nutrition, how did all that, how'd you take it? Like, were you able to keep it down, or were you throwing up at this point?
Yeah. I noticed that when I got into the aid stations, I could eat really well. It was between the aid stations where I was having the most trouble, because I was able to process real food, but as soon as I started trying to drink my nutrition, I just wanted to vomit.
Mm,
So it was weird. I started to rationalize in my mind, okay, try to get 1,000 calories of food at the aid station and hold that 1,000 calories till you get to the next aid station, which is not a good plan.
hmm,
But the way I understood it was like, at least I'm getting something.
yeah,
Like, it's not like I'm not eating anything, and I've done these 200s before where, I've gone very like, many, many, many hours on nothing, like,
nothing.
barely water, and, we were still at that point where I could eat that food. I think the danger for me always is when I start getting nauseous when I drink water. And, I was quickly approaching that, and
Yeah.
I think that's where I probably spiral the most is when I hit sections where I can't even get water down, and then energy just drops, and I'm moving like a mile and a half an hour.
Mm.
Um, and so I think having the knowledge of, and having 5 200s under my belt, there were things that I was very adamant about, and I just, like, recalled from my past experiences that I was like, "Okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it
Hmm.
because I know what happens if I don't." And I think eating really big calories at the aid stations saved me from not, like, DNFing.
Yeah.
Because at least like, I never hallucinated, I never was disoriented. If ever I was, like, out of it, I did have times where I was really dizzy, but that's just because I was so tired and I didn't have calories.
Yep.
But there was a lot of wins as far as, like, how I took care of my body as opposed to other times in the other races, so this was my slowest 200 I've ever done, and I really felt like, the one of the biggest factors to that was, not getting enough calories and then just the reality of what my training was. I just didn't have enough time to be able to move and do what I wanted to do. And then, like, the 3rd time was just I just spent way too much time in aid stations. Like, I couldn't get out quick enough, and it's really easy to add on 5, 6 hours in these things.
Oh, yeah.
When I look at even times and Tim was trying to do his best. Like, he was like, "Sally, you are spending too much time in aid stations." Like, we would be out on the trail. He's like, "You have to be way more efficient." So he was, like, trying his best to encourage me to kinda, like, get things going, but, I think when my energy was just so low, I'd be like, "Well, let me just sleep for 10 minutes." And so I would, like, sleep for 10 minutes, but then it was like, "Oh my gosh, like, we need to take care of my feet." Well, then feet sometimes would take 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And you and but had I not taken care of my feet, I probably would have finished in over 100 hours. I mean, I probably wouldn't have finished till, like, Saturday,
Yeah.
morning. So I realized that everything that we were doing, was in order to keep me moving, but I think the time that was being sucked up at aid stations, it just kept compounding as we moved through, and unlike the other 200s, we get to see our crew a lot at
Mhm.
Cocodona. Like,
Yeah.
it's so awesome how much you see your crew,
Yeah.
and so you're never like, there's only, like, 2 or 3 sections that it's like, "Hey, I'll see you in 30 miles or in 25 miles." It's only a couple sections. Everything else is like, "I'll see you in 12 miles. I'll see you in 15."
Yeah, and I
Even,
feel
like,
like those big
8.
chunks are early in the race too, where it's like the
Yes.
first day, and then by the time you pass that first day, yeah, it's like every 12 miles or so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on average.
Yeah. So Jerome was pretty good. I mean, it had some tacos. But then when we left Jerome, I think that's when things really started to fall apart,
Yeah.
for me, and I started to move a lot slower.
Yeah, just for some context for the people listening, Jerome's 123 miles in, so,
Yeah. Roughly
um,
the halfway
yeah, roughly
the half
half.
the halfway point,
Mhm.
which is a lot.
Yeah, no, I know,
That's a
it's
lot. I still had, like, relatively good placement at that time. I was still, like, in the upper end of the race.
yeah,
My legs weren't hurting, I wasn't hobbling. I had a couple little blisters that, like, they weren't a big deal. And the truth is, listeners, like, everybody's dealing with stuff. Everybody. Front of the pack, back pack, everyone has blisters. Most people deal with some degree of breathing issues. It's almost impossible to avoid that because you run through so much dust and dirt the first, like, 80 miles. Like, for me, I always get a bronchial reaction by the time I'm at mile 70. I mean, I am hacking up phlegm and I sound horrible by the time I'm 70 to 80 mi it sounds like I have bronchitis, and I run with that the whole race. That isn't unique to me. It's crazy when you the further you get into these races, all the runners that come in that are having a hard time breathing, and then you're moving into thinner air.
Mm,
So we deal with all that dust and dirt, it's getting locked up in our lungs, and then it's like altitude on top of it. And then it's cold weather. So if you have asthma, like your lungs are exasperated, you're stuffed up with dust and dirt, it's thinner air. Like the challenges and the reasons why people slow down, they're not unique to just a couple people that are having bad luck. It's like everyone's dealing with that, which I think, Eddie, too, when you think of how fast our front runners were going, just so much respect.
oh, yeah.
Um, they're not gonna highlight these things, they're not gonna talk about these things, obviously, like, you don't wanna share those things, but don't think for a second that, like, Rachel and Courtney and Heather and, all the guys up front, Killian, that they didn't have massive challenges too. I mean, they're throwing up and getting blisters taped up and struggling with breathing just like the rest of us. So, um, yeah, I think for me, it's making sure that I'm responding to that in a good way, that I'm not spiraling. I'm just like, "Hey, it is what it is. We need to take care of it." So, I think once I left Jerome, like that section, it was a little rough and I just started like fading in calories. And once I'm not taking calories in and it's night, then I start shivering and I get super cold. And when you're super cold, that makes you really tired.
Mm,
And so it just all compounded. So by the time I made it to, I think it was the 200-mile aid station with Summer. I think it was 200 miles because I think that's where I texted you and I was like, I think I'm done.
yeah, Kelly Canyon, yeah.
Yeah. So I made it to Kelly Canyon and I actually don't remember the last several miles before getting there. I just
Mm,
don't. I I think I was asleep a lot. I think I don't know. I actually wanna ask Summer about it, like, what was going on, getting me to that aid station, but I'll tell you what, the Kelly Canyon aid station is in the middle of the forest. It is you may not drop there. Crew cannot come get you, but the saving grace there is they had several tents with cots and tons of blankets and sleeping bags, and, I just told Summer, I said, "I am in a horrible place, right now. If I don't lay down, I have to do some type of reset. I have to get calories. I have to get warm. We can't keep moving at this pace. Like it's inefficient. And I think that's a decision that you have to make in these longer races is there's the desire to want to keep moving forward to the finish line on what is and pushing through the discomfort. But then there's also this opportunity where if you take care of yourself, you're gonna move better.
yeah.
So pausing for a little bit, you might end up moving better overall, and I think
Mhm.
that's what I was leaning into. Yeah, Ed, I sent you a text, I don't even know when, obviously, I was out of my mind, um, but thankfully, you know me well enough, you didn't even respond.
Well, the truth of that is so it was, like, around 1:15 in the morning, and we this year was a little bit different in that prior to the other 200s, we have never had a hotel or, like, a Airbnb or anything for me to go back and because couple of reasons, like, one, we didn't really think of it, and but then the other reason was where the course really wasn't set up necessarily for that. And this one, we knew we were gonna go to Flagstaff, and once you hit Sedona, there's like, Sedona was 158, so you still have 100 miles between Sedona and Flagstaff, and Flagstaff's only a 40-minute drive from Sedona, so we
Yeah,
knew we were gonna be in that area for, 100 miles or whatever,
right.
and towards the end of the race, and so we had an Airbnb, so we would be able to go back once we hit Sedona and, shower or kind of charge up what we needed to charge or take a shower or whatever, right? Just to kind of have a home base and then get back on the course and find you. And so that particular time when you were at mile 200, we saw you at Munns Park, which was mile 189. So between 189 and 202, um, we went back because we weren't going to see you till 210. So we actually had 20 miles until we were going to actually be able to crew and see you again. And so we went back to the hotel and we were like, okay, let's maybe pass out for a couple hours, get back up and see where she's at. And so that was around 1 o'clock. And so we got back, and what I always do when I fall asleep in the car or not, at the Airbnb, I always take my phone and I put it on my chest. And when I set my alarm, so I know like I'm gonna feel it or I'm gonna hear it, it's gonna be loud. I turn up the volume
That's a good idea.
just so I know, like, hey, I'm not gonna miss it. And I've never missed you, so
Yeah, you
it's
have
worked so far.
knock on
Uh,
wood.
knock on wood. But so this time I'm actually, and typically I'm laying in the car, kind of uncomfortable. So this time I was actually laying in a bed, put the alarm, and it's funny too because I know if I have 4 hours till I'm gonna see her again, I'll only set the alarm for, like, 1 hour. Like, so I might get, like, a couple hours here and there, but it's always, like, interrupted and it's not great sleep, and so I set the alarm, I think, for, like, an hour and a half, even though I knew we had 4 hours, just to be safe, and so I set the alarm and I fell asleep. And that was, like, at 1 o'clock. And then at, like, 2:30, I somehow wake up. I don't know if it was my alarm or what, but I get up and I look at my phone, and you texted me at 1:15. So 15 minutes after I fell asleep. At 1:15, this was now, like, an hour and a half later after I got it. But it said, "Hey, Ed, like, I think I'm done. I think I wanna DNF. Come
I
get
must have
me."
texted that in my sleep, I'm not kidding.
No, you said, "I'm done. Come get me." So, I text you back, I'm like, "Oh, no." Like, I text you back, "Are you okay?" Like, and I didn't hear back for, like, a few minutes. I'm like, and then I called you, nothing. So then I start texting Summer, I'm like, "Summer, how we doing? How's she going? Like, is she okay?" And then she finally texted me back and said, "Yeah, she's sitting here. She's trying to get warm. She's freezing. She has like 5 blankets on. She can't get warm.
Yeah.
She's exhausted. She's trying to eat, but she can't." All these things. And she goes, "Do you want to talk to her?" I said, "Yes." So that's when you got on the phone with me.
Oh my gosh, I
And
don't remember this conversation.
yeah, so you reiterated like, "Hey, like I'm struggling, like I don't know what to do."
Oh my gosh, I
And
do
then
not remember this conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So I I go, "Well, here's the deal. You're at a crewless aid station, so I can't come and get you."
Which
Like,
is so
it's
good.
yeah, so it's
Perfect.
just off limits. Um, but you could have now, I don't know if you knew this, but you could have DNF there because even if I wasn't there, because it was an actual
So not
aid
important.
station, you would have been able to do that. But
Yeah.
I couldn't have come to you and, taking you to a place where you can sleep and then come back and start from there again. Like, that's part of the rule book. You're able to do that
Yeah.
only at crewed aid stations. So this one was not crewed. So I was basically like, "Hey, I can't come get you. What should we do?" And you were basically saying like, "Well, I don't know if I can get to the next aid station where you're at," which was another 8 miles. And that's where I was gonna be able to see you again. And so we kinda came up with a plan. I told you, I go, "Hey, I'll do whatever you want to do. If you're really struggling or you're not feeling good, like, you can essentially call it quits, but, maybe try to get to the next aid station and see where we're at." And so we came up with the idea. I kind of had you come up with it, and I just gave you the thumbs up about it. But basically, the plan was to sleep another hour where you were and try to get warm, and then wake up, see if you can eat some food, and then decide from there. All right, either I'm gonna try to go this next 8 miles, or I'm out, or I'm done. So that's what you did. You slept for an hour, and I got a hold of you after that hour. Summer, showed me a picture of you eating some chicken, like, I think chicken on a tortilla.
I
Uh,
don't even
she
know.
said you were starting to be able to eat some chicken, which was I was like, "Oh, great." And basically she said, "Yeah, we're gonna try to get to Fort Tuthill in 8 miles." So, that was that aid station. You were completely out of it. Thankfully, I did not respond to your text, not because I didn't want to and I did see it. I didn't see it. I was asleep. So, I'm glad I was asleep, and I'm glad glad I missed that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about just falling apart, and, I mean, I'm trying to think the last time I've DNF'd a race. I think it was UTMB 2018.
I was gonna say, you've never DNF'd a race that I've been at.
Yeah, I think it was 2018, but I think I had some blood oxygen stuff. I think it was pulled,
Some serious,
or
yeah.
I had to do some, like, testing or something. Yeah, I mean, I had done UTMB. It was right after my first race at Badwater, and, so I remember going into that, like, pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
So I think that's the last race, and for our listeners, just, I've had my fair share of DNFs. I don't think there's anything negative about DNFing. I think what we should pay attention to as runners is if we are constantly DNFing.
Yeah.
Like, if you are DNFing over and over and over and over again, you know, look at that pattern and why. A lot of times it's a mental thing. It's a mental breakdown. It could be like a lack of confidence, of belief, of fear. I see that sometimes in runners. They're just like so afraid of like not only the discomfort, but the unknown of what's ahead, and it can be very overwhelming. So, yeah, I've had my fair share of DNFs, and I think that when you have a crew that knows you, um, and they know, what your training looks like, what your goals are, it is important that you communicate to them before the race, "Hey, if I ever bring up DNF, here's the steps we need to take." Because every runner at the start is telling their crew, "Don't let me DNF if I talk about it. Like, don't let me come
Sure.
into that space." But I've talked to several runners too, especially in the 200s, because crewing a 200 is so hard and exhausting. It is. Do not think that it's just fun. People will tell you it's fun, and yeah, there are fun parts to it, but 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours in, everyone is tired, and
Yep.
fatigue and lack of sleep is a very real thing. I mean, it's sleep is such a powerful need for us as humans. You think of, I mean, it's the most powerful, um, things that we have, as humans that we share. It's hunger, sex, sleep, thirst. It's like the tiredness comes out in, like, some gnarly ways, and I've seen some not so great things unfold in crews. People start
Mhm.
losing their patience, they get frustrated, they're agitated, even at their runner, they'll get upset at their runner. If a runner comes in and they're complaining and they're tired and everything's going wrong and they're moving a mile and a half an hour, and you have crew that isn't really familiar with this distance or even ultras, and they're just thinking it's gonna be a fun camp out for a couple days, it's a wake-up call, and, some strong personalities can come out and kind of, cause some troubles. So, I
Yeah, I can
almost feel
vouch
like
for that. I mean, I know I probably, said some things or was
oh,
impatient at
to
times,
me,
and then
no.
no,
Me?
I'm just saying, like, in
No.
general, it's probably to the crew, maybe to you, I don't know, but I know it's like you get to a point where you're just, like, exhausted. You're so tired, you're cold,
And you
obviously, we
don't
would
care.
never say
Sometimes you're
that.
like, "I don't care."
Yeah, we'd never say that to the runner that we're crewing because, you're trying to do your best for them
Mhm.
but the human side of your emotions and tiredness, like, you just can't hide it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just comes out and you're short, you're impatient and whatever, but I know I'm sure I did it, but then I was definitely I'm not gonna say who, but I definitely was around some crews that I was like, "Ooh," I heard a couple things and I'm like, "Oh, man, like, getting
Yeah.
tense over there," but and
Well,
that's just part of the game.
I had several crews and runners share some stuff with me in the last few days that have been kinda shocking, that I'm like,
About crew, like
"Wow." Yeah,
in
bad attitudes and just, like, it's easy to get we're all selfish. I mean,
yeah,
we're human beings. Humans are
yep,
selfish, and it's easy when you're tired and there's just, like, no end in sight when you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, I didn't know I signed up to crew someone for 115 hours, like, this is
yeah,
insane." Like, um "Wait, what do you mean you guys didn't get hotels for us?" It's like, it is a luxury if your runner gets you hotels. These races, they are, like, pricey, but yeah, this is the first time, like, it was so important to me that I had beds for our team. The first 2 nights, like, Monday, everyone checked out of the hotel, and then by Wednesday, everyone was back in a hotel, and that's a game changer. If
Yeah.
people can, like, take a shower and, like, lay on a bed for even, like, 3 hours, like, your crew is gonna be happier. Um, Also the organization of just your vehicle.
Yep.
Like, if you have a vehicle that's just piled with crap and you can't even recline your seat to, like, close your eyes, like, it's crazy how just even that little detail can be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Um
Speaking of that, aside here. So Isaiah was with us. I don't know if we've mentioned that, but,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, so Isaiah was part of our media crew doing some
Isaiah was
reels and
amazing.
yeah, taking video and,
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to hear, maybe after this about how it was coming in and seeing him. But anyways, I was telling Isaiah this. He was there with us, Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning, I drove him to Flagstaff to catch a plane at, like, 5 a.m., and then I came back to the course to find you. But, I was explaining to him, I've never seen him in the most awkward sleeping positions in my life. Like, I would look over, I'm like, "How did you just sleep like that for 1 hour, dude? Like, and your neck is okay, or your back." Like, I've never his body was so contorted in so many different
Yeah.
ways this race. It was pretty funny, but he got some good sleep, and I don't know how. Maybe because he's young. I don't know. He could
I
pull it
think
off.
so. Isaiah
I'm
is
just
like
if I was in that position for 10 minutes, I would be, like, in a wheelchair for the next week. I was like, "How did you put yourself into that?"
Isaiah is has always been an amazing sleeper.
Yeah.
I was so stoked, this just blessed my heart. Isaiah and Eddie flew in on Saturday before the race, and Isaiah was in charge of my Instagram. So he's the one that made the reels and picture posts and stories and things like that. It was so fun having him. He's
Yeah,
just so joyful. He's such
he
a
is.
happy kid. It was funny so often, like, I'd run out with people, like, runners, we'd get back on the course from aid stations, or I'd come in, and so many people were like, "Oh my gosh, your son is so tall."
Yeah,
Like,
right?
people were, like, blown away by how tall he is. Because you and I, Eddie, like, we're not tall people, but you and I
Definitely not.
respectively
Yeah.
have tall people in our family. So
Yeah.
I have several people that are over 6 feet tall in my family, so do you. So it is funny because among the 3 of us, like me, Mackenzie, and you, like, we're just not tall people, and then Isaiah
No.
kept walking up and people were like,
This
"Whoa!"
giant next to us.
Yeah, and Isaiah is also very sweet and affectionate, and he still is like that with me, so it's just so
Yeah.
funny because he's just this big grown man, and he's like, "Mama!"
This 6 foot, like, man, like, yeah,
Yes!
say that.
I know, it's so cute, but, um, yeah, I did have to warn him. I was like, "Buddy, it's like, sleep's gonna be rough," and the only reason why he left at 6 a.m. on Wednesday was because his lacrosse team had made it to the 3rd round of CIF, and he had a game that day. So he went from filming, posting, working for, like, 2.5 days straight, got on a plane, and went and played a CIF game, and, it was I was just so proud of him. He's worked his tail off, and he had so much fun. Like, he just kept
Yeah, he
this
did.
he's like, "Mom, this is really different from Long Haul 100 in Florida." He's like, "That was short." And I was like, "Yeah, this is not 100."
Well, when
So,
I was prepping him to come, I said, "Dude, it's actually a lot of fun because, you get to drive and follow her rather than at long haul." His only experience with an ultra with you was you're kind of in the same spots and, you just do these loops and we find you. I go, this one we get to actually drive and hit different cities and we stop and we'll go eat and stuff like that. So he did enjoy that where we were able to go and hit some pizza places and he had a nice burger and fries at the saloon and we had some fun kind of hanging out together and crewing you. But it's pretty cool running in and getting to see him with the camera, huh?
oh, I loved it. It just like, Mingus Mountain was amazing because he had his typical Isaiah energy. Isaiah is an entertainer,
Yeah, he
and
is.
he's very much an extrovert. From the time he came out of my womb, I'm not kidding, like, within the first hour of holding Isaiah in my arms in the hospital, he was smiling, and I know babies make automatic, facial expressions, but I remember being in the hospital and looking at you, Eddie, and saying, like, he's smiling at me, and it is who he is
Legit is who he
through and
is, yeah.
through, dude. The kid is so resilient, and I remember coming to Mingus Mountain and not being, like, in a great way, like, I was so low on energy, I did not feel good, I had a headache, my whole body was pretty achy, and him coming in with this booming voice, he's like, "Yellow Runner!
"Let's
Yellow
go,
Runner!"
Yellow Runner!"
And I
And
was
it,
like,
like, the way Mingus, like, is set up, it's like this, like, I don't know, it's like it just echoed, and it was so
yeah,
loud, it was
it was
awesome.
so loud, like, and it just, like, lifted my spirits because you just
Yeah,
see the joy on his face, and the one thing that's always, like, touched my heart is, like, Isaiah is genuinely so proud of me. Like,
yeah, he
he's
is.
so genuine in his support, like, he just thinks what I do is so awesome, and he's just, like, thinks that, like, these things are amazing, and I feel that. Like, I
Yeah,
feel, as a mom, when your son is just like, "So cool what you're doing, this is amazing, let's go," like, I don't know, it just, it gives me little bits of energy, and not that I, like, need that, but it's really special, and
mhm,
I think and same with Mackenzie. Mackenzie's the exact same way, she's just like
yeah,
and she gets me in the running side of things, 'cause I had a couple low points, and she would come up next to me, especially when we were at Fort Tuthill, and she was just like, "Mom, like, it's so amazing what you're doing, like, remember you were on crutches this time last year." She's like, "I'm
yeah,
so proud of you," and, like, I don't know, I think little moments like that just really helped me put the race aside for what it is, and I realize it's just a race. And
yeah,
when I have my kids there and they're saying these things to me, I'm like, that's what I'm most proud of is knowing that my kids are gonna take these things and apply them to their own lives because these are beliefs that they hold in their heart because I've spoken those things to them. These are the
mhm,
words I've said to them when they've hit challenges in their life or in sport, and to see them talk those things back to me, I'm like, I raised some pretty cool humans.
yeah,
And I think those are the little moments that I'll cherish from this race are the interactions I had with people, the new friends I made. Um, my friend, Mick or Michaela, we got to share a ton of miles in the training run, and then we shared a lot of miles in the race, and we both didn't have the race that we had hoped for. Um, but it was so awesome working through those low points together and just, like, telling stories and talking about our lives, and I was able to do that a lot with people, and I think when Summer and I finally got out of that tent. I mean, I think I was at that aid station for over 3 hours. I mean, it was so ridiculous how maybe longer than that.
yeah, I mean, I think you definitely slept for 2 of those, so and maybe a little bit more, and then, yeah, just the rest of it was just kinda, like, trying to get
Well, it
warm and
it
trying
was
to eat
daylight when
and
we left, so it may
yeah,
have been close to 4 hours.
yeah, maybe.
So, I'd say overall, just at aid stations, I probably packed on between 7 and 10 hours. And it was wild because when Tim would run with me, we did a lot of interval running.
Yeah,
Like, legit running, and there were times, like, I felt good, like, I felt like I had an efficient stride, I felt like we were moving, and the other side of me was kinda, like, sad because I was like, "Dude, if I didn't have all these long, drawn out stops, I would have finished significantly faster than I did when I did it in 23." So,
yeah,
I think that you know, I'm still learning about these 200s, obviously, but this is a whole 'nother, like, level of growth and lessons that I can take with me as far as what to do and troubleshooting in aid stations, timing myself better, being better organized, because it's really easy for time to compound in aid stations, just being slow with my food or changing my clothes or eating or talking to people. And it's like, for how long that race is, yeah, you can really tack on the hours. And it was funny because yesterday Tim Tollefson was doing a show with Free Trail. It's called Rest Day Brags, and they had on Rachel and Dylan. All three of them were doing it. And he said my finishing time. I didn't even know my finishing time. I didn't know how long I had run Cocodona until last night. And I finished the race 5 days ago. And I was like, "Wow, I did it in the 90s." I think it was like 95, 96 hours. I didn't even know that was what my time was. So I think
mm,
I think for me in this race, I kinda hit that point once I hit Fort Tuthill. Um, I had, like, the worst settings on my watch. I had gotten a new watch, and when I downloaded the map onto my Coros watch, it picked up all these other settings, and it drained my battery big time. So at 60 hours, my watch turned off. So I think having that disengagement with what even how much time had passed, what mile I was at, like, what was going on, like, I think mentally I started to kinda disengage with the passage of time. I
Yeah,
I never knew what place I was in. That's, like,
yeah,
so important to me, but, like, I never knew where I was. I didn't know if I was in the top 50. Was I in the top 20? Was I in the top like, I didn't know. So I think moving forward, the things that are so important to me is like, I wanna know, like, what place I'm in at all times. Like, that is so motivating me. I need to know, like, "Hey, it's been 5 minutes in the aid station. You need to get the heck out of here." Like, yeah, you're feeling terrible. Like, I think I do best with that kind of movement, and I think in this race what got me the most was just there wasn't any intensity for me, and when I started to fall apart, it was just the focus was just like, "Hey, get yourself together and keep moving." And
yeah,
I think that is what kept me going, and I knew too, like, going into this race, I just didn't have that fitness that I wanted to have. I had the durability, and I knew I could go the distance, but, I am looking forward to the back half of this year as I'm pretty much recovered and I'm gonna be able to start training pretty soon, but I think I'm gonna be able to build on Cocodona and just what I was able to do out there and just look at it for what it is, and what it was just a test of the body. The knee held up,
yeah,
um, mentally, I pushed through some pretty low points. There is probably a section of about 12 hours, I think, where I didn't eat. In Sedona, I was throwing up a lot. I probably threw up like 15 times in this race, and that's pretty rough, I think, for any athlete. When you're losing that much nutrition, electrolytes, it's a domino effect. Your body temperature takes effect, your sleepiness takes effect, the way that you move, the energy, the pace. And I think I had sections in that just once I got to aid stations, I was so trashed. So by the time I
yeah.
got to Tut
Real
Hill.
quick, real
Yeah.
quick before we get to Tet Hill, like, what do you do in that moment or in those sections where you're deep into a race and you're not keeping any of the food down now, and you're not keeping down water, and
Mhm.
you're just miserable, you're like you said, everything's compounding, you're tired, you're getting dizzy, and you can't keep anything down. Like, what are some tips or what are some things that you are go-tos for you to keep you moving?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I personally have is just pure race experience. So if I'm in a situation I've been in before, I immediately recall it. So I'll think of, and I did this and throughout this whole entire race, I'm like, "Oh yeah, this happened at Moab. This
Mhm.
happened the first time I did Cocodona. This happened at Tahoe." Tahoe was probably one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had in my entire career because I went a full 24 hours on nothing.
Yeah.
I think I was able to take sips of water, and that ended up being my fastest, strongest performance, as far as, like, overcoming something. I
Yeah.
got 3rd place, I didn't win, but, like, I think when you look back at that, everything that I was experiencing, I probably like most people, and even mine in a right state of mind would be like, "Yeah, you probably should have DNF'd that race," but
Yeah.
to know that I was able to work through that and then still chase people down, that's taught me a lot as an athlete. So, literally, there was nothing in this race that rattled me, scared me, or that I freaked out about. I felt like I was really calm in all of it, and I
Mhm.
think even when I texted you, I think the pure motivation there was just I was just so tired and empty that I was like, I just this is more of a mental thing of like, I don't feel like battling this.
Yeah.
Like, why I'm so miserable and I'm not having any fun at all. Like,
Yeah.
just come get me. But I also know that those feelings are part of the low dark points in a race, and it's okay to let them be. I think it's good that I texted you at the end of the day. You know, I think that I've always had that confidence knowing that there's nothing too challenging for me that you've witnessed that will make you agree to a DNF.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be like a broken bone or rhabdo, otherwise you won't agree with me,
Yeah.
and that has been really important to me, and so I think even sending you that text, I don't really remember all the other stuff that you had talked about, but clearly it's like it's so awesome just knowing, like, it doesn't matter that I sent that text, like, you were
Yeah.
never coming.
Yeah.
Like like,
Yeah.
you weren't gonna come, like,
Yeah,
you were
even if I was
able.
awake and got that, I would've been like, "Okay, let's talk about this. What's going on?" Right? Like,
Yeah, and
let's
it
come up with some
just
other options.
yeah, and I think people we all need people on our team like that, and when you're in a really low point, we're really good at convincing everyone around us that this is the best decision because
Sure.
we're so low, and it's hard for crew when a runner has said, like, "Don't let me DNF, don't let me talk you into it," and then they're in the middle of the race and the runner's doing that exact thing, and then the crew is like, "Am I being a bad friend? Am I doing this wrong?" Like,
But also the crew's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm super tired anyway, so let's just call it." Like, I'm good with
uh,
that.
there's definitely crew that unfortunately have done that too,
Yeah.
and it's such a bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a like I said, we need to do a whole other podcast on this. I'd love to get some other crew chiefs in and we
Yeah.
can all
That'd
share
be cool.
stories. Because I heard some pretty crazy stories from this last one that kinda made me sad,
I wanna
honestly.
hear him now. Yeah,
Yeah,
allude
and
me to.
sad for crew too because the crew then goes home and they feel bad.
Yeah.
You
No,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, that's not the experience they wanted, that's not what they
Yeah.
expected, and they would never, like then they put that guilt on themselves,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's very easy for crew to feel responsible for everything that's happening to their runner when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, and the communication that happens beforehand is monumental, and I think having someone like you, Eddie, that just, like, knows me, that even though Sally's arguing with me that she wants to drop out here, I know Sally would
Yeah.
be super upset tomorrow morning if I agreed to this. Like,
Mhm.
I have to see this is low point, tired Sally. There's something going on with her mentally, but physically she's actually okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's kinda how you have to break it apart for an athlete is your mind is that powerful. Your mind is more powerful than your body.
Yep.
And so as a crew chief, it's important that you come in and be like, "What's broken? Like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
hurting on your body? Are you peeing blood? Are you vomiting nonstop? Do you think that you need to go to the hospital?" If they say no to all of those and you're like, "All right, go to sleep."
Yeah, get some
'Cause
sleep and
most
let's
of the
yeah.
time, that's what the runner needs. They need to
Yep.
sleep, they need to eat, and tell them, say, "Hey, I'll sit here with you for 3 hours, I don't care.
Yeah.
The sweeper's not coming for another 18 hours, like, sit here and
You're
reset."
good. You got some time, yeah.
Yeah, if we don't need to go to the hospital, I'm not gonna let you throw all this away. And I think, like, all of that needs to be communicated between runner and crew before the race starts.
Yep.
It's also important you choose the right people because, yeah, you can bring a spouse on or your best friend and they love you and care about you so much. And when they haven't experienced this, they don't understand this, they are going to act like a full on defender of you. They're going
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, like I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to protect you and I'm going to make sure that you aren't uncomfortable and that you don't feel like you have to force yourself through this. So have grace. You hear that a lot. Well, you just need to have grace on yourself and
Mhm.
finish. And it's like, well, this isn't actually about grace. Um, I think of people in their real everyday life who just beat themselves up on a daily basis and aren't kind to themselves. When you're talking about a race that someone has committed financially, these are very expensive. A crew that is committed their whole time, you've committed time training. That's actually what you have to remember
Yeah.
is there is a reason this person committed 6, 7, 8 months and committed so much of this week along with everyone else. We can't just let them quit because they don't feel good. Like,
Yeah.
that's not okay. This isn't a matter of grace. This is working through a hard part that's actually part of the race. And I know I said that a lot to runners when I was in aid stations where people were having a hard time or I came upon people who are having a hard time, and I would look them square in the eye and I would say, "This is the part you trained for.
Mm.
You didn't train for the first 100 miles of a 200. You trained for, like, the darkest, most difficult, weakest parts. That's what a 200 is about. It's not when you're flying high and feeling good the first 50 miles, like, that's just not it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we are all getting through that. Like,
Yeah.
everyone on the start line is getting through the first quarter of this race, like, no doubts. Can you get through the last quarter, though?
Mm.
So yeah, I think getting to Fort Tuthill, what was also good for me was Max and Mackenzie was there. So our good friends, Max and Mackenzie, part of the SoCal contingent, you know, Max, we had high hopes for Max. I mean, I thought Max could definitely win Cocodona. Last year, he had the most unfortunate result, having to go to the hospital just like 7 miles before the finish line, with cellulitis, like really extreme condition. He wasn't able to walk for like a week straight. It was pretty extreme. And he was in great fitness. He injured his hip, and dropped out a little past 100. I think like at Mingus Mountain, he ended up dropping out. But when I got into Fort Tuthill, seeing his face in the great sadness, and I looked him straight in the eye and I just said, "Max, I know that you're so sad." And he was, and we like hugged each other and he's like, "Yeah, I'm so bummed." Like he was so deeply bummed. And I think in that moment, it encouraged me to keep going. And I told him, I was like, "I'm gonna run the rest of this for you. I go, I'm gonna finish for the both of us." I go, "I'm not doing great at all." Um, and I think at that point I was just eating ice.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I was only eating ice.
It was
So
very
I
weird.
left Kelly Canyon with a cup of ice. That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I had eaten a couple pieces of chicken, like she said, but, like, I hadn't eaten so long before that. I was craving ice too, which was not a good sign. Like, why
Mm.
am I craving ice? I was craving ice and red meat, which is kind of made sense to the condition I was in too. I was like this super, powerful longing for iron and,
Well, and one thing you've never really, like, wanted and you were, like, fiending for was tomato soup, right? Like, that
oh my
one
god,
aid station, you, like, couldn't get enough of it. You
I
just, like,
couldn't get enough.
kept eating it, kept
I had
going
3
back and
cups of it.
getting more of it, getting more of it, to the point of you said, "Go find out what kind that is and make sure that we can have it at the next aid station." So I had the aid station captain show me what kind of tomato soup he was serving up, and I took a picture of it and, ended up getting to Whole Foods, like, the next day and getting the exact, tomato soup. But, yeah, that was an interesting one because you've never really had that, strong desire for tomato soup, but hey.
Yeah, that was like Munns Park
Mhm.
when we did that. That was around the time when stuff was really going south.
Yeah, starting to go south, yeah.
Yeah, like big time. So, yeah, having tomato soup and ice, and just hours and hours and hours of not much else. It was just, that's just digging yourself a calorie depletion hole. You're setting yourself up for bonking, and
Yep,
bonking is a very real and sometimes can be detrimental to people's races. It's just this extreme brain fog, body block. It's very hard to climb out of and can take a very long time to climb out of. People end their races because of it. Like we just say, I just bonked. Like
yeah,
you just feel like you can't do anything. There's no amount of mental toughness, physical toughness, like to get out of it. And so that's kind of where I was. It's probably where I was when I said, "Hey, I'm DNFing." Like
yep,
I can't even work through this if I tried unless I stay at this aid station forever, which that's and kind of ended up being the way that I was able to move. I just had to hang out at an aid station for 3 or 4 hours. I think we did a post at that time too. There's a post like of me in the cot and it
yeah,
was like I in the grand scheme of things, I only had 50 miles left. It's a long time, but it's not. And it's just like I'm gonna dig deep somehow and get this freaking thing done. But when we got into Fort Tuthill, it was like 212 or 208 or I don't
210.
210. And Mackenzie Ross, Max's very soon to be wife, brought me McDonald's.
Well, it's so funny because I saw her like, they
Crazy.
came and I saw them before when I was waiting for you, and she's like, "I have McDonald's. Do you think Sally would want that?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. The only thing she's eating is like, ice right now, so I doubt it."
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was eating ice. But again, it clicked when I came into that aid station like had happened before. the smell of food, I was suddenly craving, I craved meat a lot. Like, I wanted meat so bad, and even there are some aid stations that would only have chicken. I remember just being disappointed because I was
Yeah.
like, "You don't
Like,
have red meat?"
chicken? How dare you guys?
Such a diva.
Kinda aid station is
I
this?
know. But, yeah, Max and Mackenzie really lifted my spirits. There's tons of other people there that came out too. Alyssa Clark was there, Mackenzie was there. I mean, they all just, like, really lifted my spirits, and they were excited for me. I ate 3 hash browns so fast, I couldn't believe it, and I'm looking at Mackenzie, and I was like, the fact that it was a single ingredient, uh, more of a bland ingredient, if you think
Yeah.
how well I usually do on mashed potatoes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the grease, that fat, like, I really loved the fat, and it was warm, so I scarfed those down. You gave me tomato soup.
Mhm.
Um, I think I ate, like, little bits that I maybe had, like, some oranges and some bites of something else,
You
but,
had a lot of ice there too, though.
I had so much it was stupid how much ice I think I had 2 cups of ice. People listening, I promise I ate more than that, but that was a weird phenom, but I have
Yeah.
to say the only thing I can make sense of it is because water was making me nauseous,
Yeah.
and that's when I know I'm in a really bad place. If water is making me throw up, so the ice was super, yeah, that was really helpful, and I wanted ice every aid station till the finish.
Yep.
I think even after I finished, I wanted ice too. Uh, I'm fine now, not eating ice
Yeah.
anymore,
And
but,
that was the first time ever that I was told by you to go get ice, not for, like, to keep stuff cold, but to, like, eat. So that was a first.
like, what is ice doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely nothing.
It was
It
pretty funny.
actually causes me to burn more calories to break down than I'm getting. It's not doing any
Yeah, exactly.
what kinda hydration am I getting from ice? Like, 0.
Well, it's
Like,
a sneaky way to, like, get your body to get some water, I guess. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know.
but very minimal.
Very small amounts of it,
I
yeah.
mean, what a great way to stay dehydrated, it's,
Yeah, exactly.
but, Tim and I left that section, and we moved really well through that section. I really enjoyed that next section with him. When we saw you again, you brought me Taco Bell. I
Yeah,
think
so
let's
that
talk about
was
Taco Bell.
yeah, so, you had Taco Bell was, I think,
Had it twice,
mile.
and you went and heated it up too.
Yeah, so when I saw you, I saw you at Walnut Canyon because someone else had the Taco Bell. I can't remember who got it. Someone got it. No, did I get it? I don't know. Now it's kind of blurring together, but I think I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you were like, I'm craving meat, and I'm like, there's not really much around here that I can just go grab and meet you at the next aid station. But I did see a Taco Bell, so I was texting Tim like, hey, dude, I'm gonna grab some tacos and just as much meat as I can. Like they had some double meaty, crunchy taco burrito thing. I grabbed one of those, and so yeah, you ate some of that and loved it, and then I ended up saving those, heating them up at the Airbnb, bringing them back to the next aid station, and yeah, those are money for you. So McDonald's and Taco Bell is were the big winners on the food.
Like, full on college junk food, like,
Yeah,
that's all I wasn't eating any sports nutrition, by the way,
so
people, so
funny.
I kinda kept to that. I'm gonna try to eat at least 1,000 calories in the aid station and then continue. So,
Yeah,
you gotten, like, 3 soft tacos and then this, like,
yeah,
big, huge burrito. I ate the whole burrito. It was
yeah, yeah,
amazing. And I think I ate some other stuff that was in the car. So, I got really big calories.
yeah.
This then was the last aid station, the last section that Tim was able to run with me, and we ran so well. And I looked at the 3 soft tacos and I said to you, I was like, "I don't wanna throw those out." Obviously, we didn't wanna waste food. Go and heat them up. We were so close to our Airbnb too at
Yeah.
this point. I love this site. We're now in Flagstaff at this section. It's like all the running at this point from Munds Part on is amazing. You're running through the trees and the forest and the air is thin. It's just absolutely beautiful. I've trained so much there. So like, emotionally, physically, like, I was just so happy.
Yeah.
I was very tired, and I was from a performance standpoint, I was really bummed about how bad I was doing, like, I did have
Mhm.
those moments, and I think having Tim with me helped because Tim and I have been in this sport for the same amount of time, And we do a lot of the same things just naturally, like in our career, outside of running. So we connect on a lot of stuff. And he's like me, when you're in the sport for so long, you're gonna have your highs and lows. So Tim was just really sympathetic to a lot of what it was that I was feeling, and he really understood where I was. And one of the things I actually really appreciate about him is like he's comfortable enough to tell me like, yeah, this is a bad performance.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing what you want to do. I know it's disappointing. I know this isn't what you wanted. And like, I need that. I think most people are afraid to say that. People always wanna be like, "No, but you're doing good. You're still going. Like, you didn't drop out. Like, it's a 200." Whereas Tim is like, "Yeah, you're not doing great."
Yeah,
And
it was cool to have him in the car when we would drive to these aid stations and stuff, and he would share a little bit about that, where he had that perspective as a professional athlete, and
yes.
like you said, being in the sport for so long and having, yeah, like a ton of races that didn't go his way, and how to deal with that, and
Mhm.
especially how to deal with it while you're in that moment. And he had great perspective, just like you were saying, and yeah, it was super helpful for me to kind of get an understanding of a little bit about what what you were going through at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I felt like that helped me to keep
Mm,
moving
yeah.
because when you feel like people understand that as opposed to, "You're doing so good," and in my mind, I'm like, no one understands
No, I'm
that
not.
I
Yeah,
hate this performance right now,
yeah.
and that makes me feel isolated. It
Mm,
makes me feel alone, like, I want someone to understand, like, how much this actually hurts because I lived out in Flagstaff for, like, 4 or 5 weeks during this whole training cycle, like, I committed and devoted finances to this, my time, my energy, like, I wanted to do better than I did the first time, and I missed the mark tremendously. And that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful or that I don't acknowledge or that I don't recognize that I have a body that can go this distance and I'm very well aware of what I've come back from. It's
right.
just when it's your career for so long and you love it so much and you commit so much, it's okay to be upset about missing goals,
Sure.
because if I didn't, it would mean I didn't care.
Mm,
It would mean that I'm lazy and lax about what it is or that I wasn't serious about what is doing. When I said I wanted to do better, I wanted to do better. I didn't do better. I got to the finish line and I'm so grateful I had the opportunity and the experience. I'm very grateful to know that my body can do this distance, that I held up. I had 0 knee pain. My
yeah.
knee didn't bother me one step.
Mm,
And in my recovery, I forget about it. I can't think of a greater gift than that. I mean, that's amazing. Looking back at all the amazing conversations and interactions and just the experience as a whole that I had, incredible. I'm so grateful for that. But I will let myself be upset for a week about just the overall performance and then move on from that. I have to.
yeah.
It's how I've moved through my career, and I think that even in my everyday life, that's how I've been able to build things, to create things, and to excel in other areas of my life is I recognize when my performance was off, when I missed the mark, where I could have done better, where I didn't pay attention, where I made mistakes or bad choices. How else am I going to get better? How else am I going to grow if I'm just like, but at least I did it, or at
Yeah.
least I showed up, and it's like, yeah, count those as wins, but don't ignore where you could have done better. Don't ignore the fact that those goals meant so much to you. You just can't erase them.
Mm,
And so I think Tim and I had some good conversation, and he's so understanding of that, and I think it just lifted my spirits. It's such a weird thing to say, but, like, for him to come out and say, like, "Yeah, this is a crappy performance, Sally," like, I'm like, "Oh," it was like breathing a sigh of relief. I'm like, "Thank you for understanding that." Like,
yeah.
thank you that I have a friend that, like, understands, like, yeah, if you put in this much time and dedication to training, this should not be the performance that you are having. Like, there's some things we need to work on here. So, I really enjoyed that last section with him, and then I came into the final aid station, and you had the reheated Taco Bell, and
Yeah.
that's what I took with me. I didn't
Yeah.
take any sports nutrition. I mean, I always keep sports nutrition on me. Obviously, it's dangerous not to have step with you. Like, anytime I'm in the mountains or in these long races, I'm not gonna see you for 20, miles. Like, I would be an idiot to not still fill the bottles, take all the
Yeah.
nutrition. But I left with 2 soft tacos, and I ate 1, and that's all I had for the last, 20 miles of that aid station. But I actually moved really well going up Eldon. The sun was just setting. I moved into the night. I was completely alone, and then it got super cold at the top, and it was dark, and I got sleepy, and I saw 2 headlamps super far away, and I decided, I was like, "I'm gonna sit on this rock for, like, the next 20 minutes, and I'm gonna wait for that headlamp." So, at this point, I didn't know what place I was in. I had no idea what my time was. Like I said, I had to, like, re boot up I had to, like, reboot up my watch, and so I had to do a whole restart of a new activity, so, like, it was only recording that activity, so I didn't
Mm.
even know what I had ended at, and at this point, I just wasn't upset. I didn't care about placement or overall
Yeah.
time. I really cared about having an experience with someone, and so someone came up on me. It was a woman, and I was so excited. So I stayed on that. I coulda kept going. I was like, "I'm just gonna hang out on this rock." So she comes up and I was like, "Oh, hi." And I'm like super chatty. And this person did not want to chat with me at all. Like at all. And she was from Southern California too. And I was like, "Where are you from?" Da, 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 da. And then I just had this moment where I was like, "You know what? The end of a race is so hard.
Yeah.
Everyone is working through some pretty significant stuff.
And
I am
this was a section where you're going up Mount Eldon with no pacers. You had to be by yourself
Yes, which
this
is
section,
very
so
difficult. I
very
mean,
difficult, but it also could have
so
been something where she was like, "Dude, I just need to be by myself,"
yeah,
right?
and
Like, it could
I
have been
didn't
in
like
that
that.
point.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, it was. It definitely was.
Yeah.
He did not
You're
wanna
like,
talk to me.
"Ah, that's how exactly how it was." Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I experienced that at certain points in the race. There were runners in the race who, like, purposely waited for me, and I was not in the conversation at all. Like,
Yeah.
if I feel like I'm about to pass out and I'm hurting or I'm in a low point, like, it's so much work and effort to try and hold a conversation.
Sure.
And so I just go quiet, or I'll, like, pretend to go to the bathroom, or, like, I'll stop running and just walk, and, it's I think for the most part, we're all understanding of each other in that. Like, in the beginning of the race, it's, like, way easier to, like, lock in, and I met so many strangers and had great conversation, but
Mm.
there is definitely some points in the race where I was like, "Dude, I'm just trying to put one foot in front of the other." Like, I cannot, like, have a conversation about, like, my kids and, like, what I'm doing next following this year and what races are next and, like, how my knee is doing, like, and people meant well, they're asking about my knee and blisters, and this
Sure.
one guy, like, in the middle of the night was like, "Why aren't you in your green suit?" Like, pretty firmly to me, and I was just like, "I don't know how to respond to you, bro." Like, and I was just, like, smiled at him, and I was like, "This is what I'm wearing." And then I just slowed down and I was like, "Please pass me." It was so funny. But I kind of felt like that from this woman, 0 hard feelings. I was like, "You know what? I she needs to work through this
Yeah, you're like, "I
on
get
her
it."
own,
Yeah.
and I need to be respectful." Like, she
Yeah.
does not wanna talk, and I gapped her so fast. Like, it took me 5 minutes and she was out of sight. Like, I
Yeah.
never ever saw her again, and I pretty much just did that entire section alone. The descent down Eldon, it was not painful at all. Like, I wasn't, like, wincing going down. It was super technical. I was just tired. So,
Yeah.
it was like, by this time it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, the wind is ripping, and it's like I'm cold and I'm sleeping. I got to the very bottom, did the same thing, like, slept on a rock for 10 minutes because I was out of my mind, dizzy, tired. And at the bottom of Eldon, you are deep inside a forest. I mean, I had so many weird, freaky thoughts going through my mind because I'm like, I'm a woman in the middle of this dark forest completely alone. Like,
Yeah.
I hadn't seen anybody at all. And I'm like, I know weird stuff that happens in a forest, and this is
Yeah.
just so weird that this little headlamp is meandering through these trees and caves and rocks all by herself, like,
Yeah.
literally on a Thursday night. Like, this is so
Yeah.
weird. And I get to the bottom and I make it to the aid station. And at that point, it's like it's only 4 miles to the finish, but for whatever reason, being completely out of my mind, I decide to lay down on a cot for, like, over an hour, probably, like, an hour and a half. I just, like, lay on this cot.
Mm.
But I was also insanely nauseous, and as soon as I got up from the cot, I'm just, like, vomiting everywhere. My body was just in such a bad state. It just was crappy,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. Really slogged through those last 4 miles. I was freezing through and through. And I think it was just a little bit of a shutdown, but, it was quiet. It was probably one of the worst times of day to finish, and for whatever reason, that was, like, really on my mind, like, I didn't want my crew to be out there. It's so funny. Like, I was like, "No, you guys sleep, like, no one needs to be out there." And I get in there, and Mackenzie comes popping out right as I'm crossing the finish line, and then Rachel Entrekin is there with Janine, and I'm like, "What in the world are you doing there?" I mean, she's such a good friend and a class act. We had a great conversation. Very dizzily took, like, a quick group picture, post picture, and then we just left. I'd say in my mind, probably the most anticlimactic finish I've ever had in my entire career. I just wanted to cross that finish line and go lay down.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm thinking of the Crans Montana finish, but other than that one, I don't remember another.
Oh my gosh,
That was
yeah.
pretty anticlimactic
There was,
too.
like, 4 people,
Yeah.
yeah, in the middle of the mountain in the Swiss Alps
Yeah.
at, like, 1 a.m., and it was raining.
Yeah, I remember, like, one guy clapping and like, giving us popcorn or something. I was like, "Oh, this is great." Uh, I mean, finishing though, I think was pretty inspiring for a lot of people that I know I talked to because the way that they saw you rally and, wanting to drop out at, with 100 miles left and not able to really eat anything and you're eating ice only and still able to push through and to rally and to finish is pretty admirable, pretty inspiring, and, you got it done, Sal. So that's what
I
it's all about.
Yeah, and I'd say at the end of the day, it's like I had a few people that actually almost, like it made me cry thinking about it, but there were some people in the race that came up to me and said, "Sally, I'm hanging on to your words about thinking about the story I wanna tell tomorrow, and
Mm,
that's why I keep going." And it just, like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because that is such a powerful thing just in life in general. Like, what
yep,
is the story that you want to tell? Like, what is it that you want to talk about 10 years from now when you think back on this experience? And whether it's a race, a relationship, career, any other goals that you have for yourself, you have the power to write that story. And I think with, you know, the low points that I had, realizing the performance that I had, I don't know, I reminded myself of that exact same thing, and knowing that I would be so proud to cross that finish line of all things.
mm,
And at the end of the day, that's it. I think of the races I've won. I think of winning Moab, of getting on the podium at Tahoe 200, and it's like no one talks about those.
yeah,
No one no one knows what those finishing times are, or no one talks about those performances. Those are 3 years ago.
yeah,
And it's so good as athletes that we remember that the goals and the accomplishments, they actually end up being the most personal to us and really only remembered by us
yep,
in the ways that they are meant to be. They are precious to us. And it's good that whether you win or you lose out on that goal, that you learn something from it and that you move on with gratitude that you had the experience and that you finished. And I think for me, when I look at Cocodona, I'm so happy that I was able to endure to the finish line and hold another buckle for the second time.
yeah. It's pretty awesome, pretty amazing. Yeah, I know it wasn't what you wanted in terms of your goal and your time, but yeah, I think I know I'm definitely proud of you and pushing through and definitely inspired me just being out there, obviously. But I think looking at you touched on it already, but looking back on that start line and you said all the interviews and all the times that we talked leading up to that start line on Monday at 5 a.m., you had that word gratitude just kept coming up and you're just like, I'm here. There's so much gratitude I have. And I think obviously you, Rachel, Courtney at the start line, you guys shared some tears and, you know, you were saying how a lot of that was nobody understands the amount of work that's you guys have put in to get to this point and what you're about to endure. And, so that it's an emotional time. And I think that probably had a second layer for you, in terms of your gratitude and, being there after the year that you had of, setbacks and a knee and, now you're like, wow, I'm at this start line and I get to do this again. And so that's pretty cool because, um, yeah, like you said, a year ago, and then you had surgery not too long ago, a couple months ago for, melanoma, right? I mean, so pretty inspiring to even get to the start line, let alone finish it and complete it. So, um, props to you, Sal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being out there, Ed.
Yeah. I mean, I had no choice. Like you literally forced me to be the chief. Just kidding. um, yeah. So again, hopefully this inspired people. Um, and people are encouraged to take that risk and get out there and sign up for a race that maybe scares them and um hopefully what we chatted about today is going to be able to do that. And Sally, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's a good little race recap and yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, take us out with the Sallyisms.
Yeah, I first and foremost just want to thank everyone who came out and said hello, shared whether miles with me or moments with me at aid stations or in downtown Flagstaff. This was just an incredible experience, and I think the biggest takeaway for me again is just gratitude for the opportunity, for the ability. And for the life memories and stories that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. It is the greatest joy in my heart that this is my career and that I get to do this. And I'd say with every finish line that I cross, there's something that I learn, there's a takeaway and something I get to build upon. And I hope that for you that you can do the same thing, that you remember whether it regardless of finishing time or how a race turns out, that you know that there's so much gold in what it is that you're doing. There's so much to be learned, there's so much that you can build upon. And I think that every time that we have an experience, even a DNF, we glean from that. And there's something that it shows us for when we try again. And I think that's one of my favorite things. I actually have a shirt in my merch shop called Try Again. And on the back, it says Portraits of Trail Runners. And it's a trail runner doing a 50 miler, a trail runner doing a 100 miler, and then a trail runner doing a 200 miler. And the 200-mile athlete is a skeleton. Um, and it's just this idea that in ultra running, we are constantly trying again. Sometimes we get to the finish line, sometimes we don't. But that's the joy, is that we always have an opportunity to try again, regardless of what the result is. And I think for me, that's what I'm looking forward to is the year is going to continue on. And I have other races on my calendar and things that I want to do is like, I get to try again. And that's the hope and the joy in life in every area in our life is that we get to try for all of our days. There isn't a race that says, hey, you can't, you don't get to try this again. It's like, yeah, I can come back to this race over and over and over and learn something new every time. And hopefully I'm gonna do what it is that I had set out to do, or I'm gonna take what I learned there and I'm gonna apply it to something else. And I just love that. I think it keeps our lives full and interesting. But the best part too is what we is who we get to share 'em, with along the way. And Eddie, I thank you for your sacrifice, for your time, your energy. I know how hard it is, especially being, my husband, the stress and anxiety sometimes that you hold on your shoulders, just making sure I'm okay and getting to aid stations, I have what I need, that I'm moving well. I know that's not always easy, and then you're managing pacers and crew and media. Yes, we are gonna do a little film on this. It'll be a couple months before it comes out, but, you had to manage a lot out there outside of just me as a runner and navigating everything and, making decisions, and, our kids were out there too, so I have to say that you definitely ran your own ultra, in your own way, and, a shout out to all crews, 100 and
Yeah.
200-mile crew, chiefs and pacers. I know it's not easy, because you are committing to having all your focus and attention on somebody else, which often comes at the cost of taking care of yourself and you getting what you need, and many times even being acknowledged. So, Eddie, I know that so many people in this running community love you, and I know you got to meet a lot of really cool people throughout the
I did,
race,
yeah.
but I couldn't have gotten through that course without you. So I just want to publicly say thank you so much for being out there and being a rock for all of us.
Of course, of course. Alright. You wanna take us out, Sal?
Yep. For those of you that are still running, well done. Hopefully, we will see you at another race. A little just plug here. If you are going to be at Mammoth Trail Fest, I will definitely be there. Might be doing a fun event with Tim Tollefson, who is the owner and RD of that whole entire weekend. So make sure you sign up for one of those races or just plan to be out there for the week because it is an amazing week. That is in September. Other than that, I will probably be around for TrailCon and Western States Week, so hopefully we will see you there. But in all things, whether you are driving, training in the gym, on your bike, running, I hope that you keep choosing strong in all you do.